Good morning, AISB swimmers. So what we're going to be doing today is we're going to be talking about the fundamentals of freestyle. And the first fundamental that we're going to be talking about is the use of a neutral head position. So what that means is you keep your head in line with the rest of your body and that you are looking directly at the bottom of the pool. So if you look at the picture of the lady on screen at the moment, she's swimming with a neutral head position. So her head is in line with the rest of her body and her eyes are looking down at the bottom of the pool. So when swimming freestyle, many people tend to look forward in front of them rather than down. And the problem with this is that it can cause your legs and hips to sink. So as a result of your legs and hips sinking, you have to kick harder to keep your legs up, which causes you to get tired and out of breath a lot faster. So that's why it's very important to keep a neutral head position. And again, to remind you what that means, it means keeping your head in line with the rest of your body and to look directly down at the bottom of the pool. And a general rule is to keep your eyes focused on the blue line on the bottom of our lanes at all times while swimming, except for when we're about to breathe. The second key fundamental that we're going to be talking about in the freestyle stroke is good balance. Now the key to maintaining a good balance in freestyle is to make sure that we keep kicking. By keep kicking, it ensures that our body and our hips do not sink. So if you look at the lady in this freestyle picture, you can see that her body is very close to the surface of the water and that her legs and hips have not sunk because she keeps on kicking and she's propelling herself or moving herself through the water. So the second key fundamental to remember, keeping your body horizontal and to make sure that we keep kicking to keep our body afloat and as close to the surface of the water as possible. The third key fundamental in the freestyle stroke that we're going to be talking about now is do not lift your head forward before turning to the side to breathe. Okay, this is a common mistake that causes your hips and your legs to drop and our bodies to start sinking. So instead of lifting your head forward to breathe, you should rather be rolling to your side and turn your head a little bit further so that your mouth leaves the water. So it should feel like your head is resting on the surface of the water and then you turn it to the side to breathe. So ideally, you should have one eye above water and one eye below the water surface when you breathe. Doing this and getting used to doing this does take time and practice to be able to perfect the technique, but it is very important that you do not lift your head out forward before breathing. So it only takes our shoulders rolling over to the side and our mouth and one eye and part of our mouth slightly out the water just to be able to get air into our lungs, and that is all that we need to breathe before putting our head back into the water into a neutral head position and carrying on swimming. The fourth key fundamental in the freestyle stroke is to swim on your sides. So what I mean by that is that you roll your body from side to side during the stroke. So rolling from side to side, it provides additional power by using your larger muscles in your back. So if you roll from one side to the other in the way that you see the lady in the picture, instead of swimming flat, so in other words your shoulders or your body is not rotating, you use the larger muscles in your back to provide additional support to your shoulder muscles, which provides additional power to your arms to allow us to pull ourselves through the water a lot quicker. So if you look at the lady in the picture, you'll see that as her right arm is coming out the water, she's rotating her body slightly, and when she starts her pull with her left arm, she's going to rotate her body to the left. So that's what it means to be swimming on your sides. It is using all the muscles or the larger muscles in your back and shoulder to assist the muscles in your arms to allow us to pull ourselves through the water at a more rapid or a quicker rate. So therefore it will allow us to swim a bit faster and more powerful. The fifth key fundamental of the freestyle stroke that we're going to be talking about now is exhaling or breathing out into the water. So to be able to have an effective freestyle stroke, you need to exhale continuously or breathe out continuously while your face is in the water, so that your lungs are almost empty when you turn to your side to breathe. So when we turn to breathe on our sides or to inhale oxygen before we go back into the stroke, we need to be able to exhale or get rid of the air that is currently in our lungs. So the reason for this is that the amount of time the mouth is above water is too short for you to inhale and exhale at the same time. So by exhaling continuously, you remain more relaxed in the water, and then you can hold your breath for a little bit longer, so you can use more strokes or do more strokes before you need to breathe. So remember, that's why we always say to blow bubbles out in the water when we're swimming, so that our lungs are nice and empty, so that when we do breathe, we can take in a lot of oxygen, and therefore we are able to swim for longer before needing to breathe. The sixth fundamental of the freestyle stroke that we're going to be talking about now is the use of a high elbow position. So a high elbow position allows you to keep your forearm vertical for a longer period of time. So if you look at this lady in the picture on screen now, if you look at her elbow to her fingertips, you can see that because it's in a vertical position, it's going to allow her to use the forearm and the palm of her hand, which are both facing backwards at this time, to push back against the water with the maximum efficiency. So because her elbow to her fingertips, so her forearm to the palm of her hand, are vertical, it's going to allow her to push back a large amount of water, which is going to move her in a forward direction as quick as possible. The seventh fundamental of the freestyle stroke that I'm going to be talking about now is not reaching too far with your arm when it's outside of the water. So what we refer to as our recovering arm, if we reach too far with our arm outside of the water, we could end up hurting our shoulders. So what should be happening is, if you look at the lady in the picture, the halfway point of her arm should be bent slightly at her elbow, and she should be sliding her hand into the water and then gliding her arm forward before pulling back. What happens is, if you overreach or you reach too far with your recovering arm outside of the water, you end up slapping the water and not gliding into the water before pulling back or starting the stroke to push against the water. And this can also hurt your shoulder if you are continuously reaching too far with your recovering arm. So remember, at the halfway point, as our arm comes out the water, we want to bend our elbow slightly and then allow our hands with our fingers nice and straight to glide or to slide into the water and then glide forward before we start our arm pull. The last fundamental of freestyle that we'll be talking about today is do not push the water forward. So when you extend your arm forward underwater, so when we slide our hand into the water and then we glide forward, make sure that you keep your hand flat, your fingers together, so that the surface of the water is not pushing against your hand. So a common mistake of freestyle swimmers is that they bend their hands upwards in the water at the end of sliding or gliding your arm forward. So when you do this, you push water forward, and then by doing that, by pushing the water forward, you're slowing yourself down because your hand is almost acting like a brake, like you're trying to stop yourself in the water. So that's why it's important that when we slide our hand into the water, we keep our hands nice and straight and flat, and that our fingers are together, so that we make our hands nice and streamlined in the water, so that they can glide forward and that we don't push against the water so that it looks like we're trying to stop ourselves in the water. The first one for the plank, there are two ways that we're going to do it. There's going to be an easy way and a bit more of a difficult way to challenge you. So for the first one, which is the easy one, you are going to have your knees on the ground and you're going to place your hands flat on the ground, shoulder width apart, and we are going to drop our elbows to the ground, and we are going to keep our back as straight as we can, and we're going to hold ourselves up for as long as possible. Okay? If you have to fall or if you need to stop, that's okay, but try and hold it for as long as you can. And you should be feeling your stomach is nice and tight. That means that your core is activated or your core is working, and you're going to try and hold it for as long as possible. Okay? So keep going, and then we're going to show you the more difficult way or the more challenging way is you're going to have your knees off the ground, your legs extended, and you are going to have the same thing, hands flat, elbows on the ground, shoulder width apart, and you're going to keep your body as straight as possible for as long as you can. So try and hold it for as long as possible and make sure that your abs or your stomach is nice and tight. But we're going to keep our back and our stomach nice and flat, so we're not going to be like this or doing it like that. And from here, we're just going to go like this. So you're going to try and get your knees over your toes. So like this. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Hands behind our head and our arms to the side, and we're going to lift our legs up, and like a bicycle we are going to go right elbow to left knee and left elbow to right knee, so we're going across. Okay, watch. So we go from here, we'll go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Different ways. We're going to do an easy way, and then there's going to be a more challenging way. So for the easy way, similar to the when we were doing the plank, you're going to have your knees on the ground, your arms out in front of you, hands nicely flat on the ground, shoulder width apart, and from here you're going to go straight down as far as you can, keeping your back straight, and up. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, and then for the more challenging ones, or for full push-ups, you're going to do same thing, but this time no knees on the ground, your legs out, hands shoulder width apart, and again we're going to go down as far as possible. So we're going to go 1, 2, 3, 4,